Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. I broke all the cages, no, I won't sit and take it. No, no. They left me for dead, I guess I'll never learn. Every time I break, there's just more pain to burn. They'll never, never, never learn. Till the battles won, till kingdom come. I'll never run. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. There's a place where you can run free. Time does not exist. Take a chance when the road before us falls under our face. I can't hold on. I can't remain so strong. We have the same old bond, but everything is wrong. My love is gone, but I've been born. I can't make it on my The truth is a damn hard pill to swallow. I'm reaching out, but all I feel is hollow. I wanna make you work, but all I do is make you worse. The truth is a damn hard pill to swallow.
Check your time, don't know how to feel, but I'm not sorry. I'm lost in your eyes, are you even real? But don't you worry, I'm not looking for the one. No, I just wanna have some fun. So let's get drunk tonight, 'cause fuck how we feel. But for now, I won't give it all away, 'cause I don't think I'll stay.
shine back again. When I drove down to my base, while I blame the world's neglect, then I shine right back so I'll hold back, and you should know that would never gone, just like the grass. So I'll go back, oh, would I guide me to forget the time I lost with no regrets? Let me
It's hard for me to let go, but I think that I'm finally feeling good again. So hard cause I loved you, but I'm finally feeling like myself. All of the wounds that were opened by you are now closing. I finally know how to live without hurting myself. I think that I am moving on cause I do feel less broken. I needed a sign, this is a sign that I'm healing. I'm finally healing from you. I'm finally healing from you. Don't mean to come off haughty. I'm just an imperfect person in this imperfect
Up the
world.
Suta especially, some clean kills, some crispness, and that's something that's been missing for a while.
Yeah.
Well, we can take a look at that graphic once more because we want to take a look at the 0-1 matches too. Of course, these are the teams that are potentially going through to that elimination matchup. That will be a best-of-3 series. It's going to be Eternal Fire taking on Renegades, Complexity IHC, Imperial Esports taking on Team Liquid. I'm looking forward to that one, and AMIBR taking on 9Z to round out the day. Any highlights from that B stream, guys?
For me, the Imperial going up against Team Liquid for sure. You know, whoever loses that game will be 0-2, right, and will be one game away from exiting the major, potentially in last place. It'll be a disaster for Team Liquid, and it would be a little bit surprising, I guess, for Imperial. Also, you know, the bad boy Fallen going up against Team Liquid. We know there's some internal history right there. So for me, that's the game of the 0 bracket right there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's a great storyline. You know, Fallen against Team Liquid after he's doing this kind of last dance lineup, which is something I'm still a little bit impressed by, because it's not easy to grab, you know, your old mates and create a team and qualify for the major. So they have got that going. So they still have a lot more to show, I think, considering how their last match went.
Well, let's focus our attention on what we're going to be seeing here on the A stream and tackle these in a reverse order, I guess. I know we've touched upon the Astralis Vitality matchup because that is going to be incredibly hype coming into things. Are you expecting to see that same Vitality that we saw against Complexity earlier on the tournament coming up against Astralis?
I think so. I think both teams will come out to that game with the same game plan. They want to dominate the game. They want to take charge of the game. We often talk about how you control a game of Counter-Strike. You control the pace. How fast are you going to play? Are you going to be aggressive on the CT side, proactive, or are you going to wait for whoever is coming at you? I think I saw in both games, both for Astralis, especially their CT side on Nuke, they wanted to be proactive. They wanted to disturb their opponents. Vitality and Inferno, you saw it on their CT side, they did the exactly same thing, right? So it's going to be one of those games that I think within the first 5 or 6 rounds, you get a sense of who is the better team and who can control that game.
Yeah, I'm super excited. You know, Asker Farlig used to be my old player in FPX, so I'm incredibly psyched to see him performing against, or have the potential to perform against such a elite team like Vitality.
He's been good. He's been good lately, right? He's stepping up. I feel like during the qualifier, he was one of the few players who, when needed the most, he kind of saved Astralis. Let's not forget, to those of you who didn't watch the qualifier, they were 2 rounds away from not qualifying for the major for the first time ever. They were down 14-11 against Heat, Ancient second map, and they had a force buy. They were forced to win set force buy, and they ended up doing it. So to see Farley play well and to see Astralis even being here, well, it was so close never to happen. So that's good. You know?
I know that there might be a few questions in terms of the KD on this particular graph, but that is because ZywOo didn't die once in the map we've seen so far at the major. I feel like that must be a major first.
It has to be, especially between 2 top 30 teams. I also did note myself that he only lost 90 HP throughout the entire game. In 17 rounds, he only took 90 damage. I have never seen anything like it. It's not like I don't think I have. I have never seen anything like it.
No, it's an unbelievable stat. Like, unbelievable stat. And I remember you told us in the green room, I was mind blown. Like, how does that even happen? Inferno opening CT side, you usually get a few HE grenades your way when you try to get those picks. So I think that's like, how?
Yeah, it's really impressive.
It's incredible. And I love how much of a confidence booster that must be for Vitality coming into things, because, there are a lot of questions, particularly about ZywOo as well. The fact that we were saying, of course, I love how Launders prefaced it in the game, saying he is still the second best player in the world. There's no bones about that. But it was just kind of the lack of confidence and conviction we saw previously from the side of Vitality. It's nice to see them having a hot start.
Yeah, and to be honest, right, during the qualifier as well, they were also just 1 map away from not qualifying, going up against Mouse. But they lost a very close game to FaZe. They lost a close series to Na'Vi, so they had a hard draw, right? People were a bit rough on them, and myself included. I still feel Vitality haven't shown us their best level yet. They haven't shown the best version of that lineup. There's so much more potential to be explored, but what we saw in the first game today, that was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I'm happy. This is the Vitality everyone wanted when this change happened, right? We want to see them dominate. We want to see ZywOo do what he did in that French lineup and continue with his form and make it work with the rest of the team, right? So incredibly excited for them continuing this tournament.
Well, Ents versus Outsiders, that is going to be our 3rd matchup here in the round of 2. Devilwalk, I don't want to throw you under the bus on your first egg segment here at the major, but you have quite high hopes for Ents coming into this tournament.
I do have very high hopes. I've been screaming Ents will win this major in the green room, and I'm still nervous about that. But I'm a little bit biased because I'm cheering obviously for Madden, who's my old player. We're very good friends. We're very close, and something about Ents. I talked to Madden, and he just reiterated like how insane Spinks has been in practice. Whenever he gets to a LAN environment and doesn't have those high ping issues in practice, he's just incredible. And Madden, he's not a not gifted mechanical player himself, so it means a lot coming from him.
I buy into the hype train for Ents for sure. I have them as one of the outsiders who could potentially go find the playoff. Just I think making the playoff for them would be quite the achievement. For them to win the major, I have one problem with it, right? And I think they're a little bit too one-dimensional in the sense that it's a lot about Spinks, it's a lot about Madden, it's a lot about the individuals showing up. And when you play the best teams in the world, you gotta have a plan B as well. You gotta have a plan C. And I don't think I've seen that enough from Ents so far. And that's where I see the limitations of this lineup. Because I agree, if they're all firing on all cylinders, if they're all playing the best brand of Counter-Strike, there's a world where Ents goes into the playoff, maybe even into a semi-final, and let alone a final if they play at 100%. But to do that against teams like Na'Vi, FaZe, etc., without a plan B, I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was going to bring up the point that we saw just as a showdown recently, the fact they made it to the grand finals against Astralis, and they get absolutely spanked in that first map of Mirage by Astralis, but they managed to make that comeback. So I feel like we are seeing those signs of resilience coming in from ENCE, and I think it was Spink saying in one of the interviews that they feels like they have some of the best chemistry, they have trust in each other as well, which is super important.
I think you can see that, and you can probably attest to that as well. It looks like the players believe a lot in what Snappy is telling them, right? The confidence in the in-game leader, the confidence in the product seems to be at an all-time high. And when you have that feeling as a player, it doesn't matter whether Snappy is making the right call or not, as long as everyone believes that whatever he's saying is the right thing. And you probably sense that as well as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I've also talked with Madden, so I have a little bit of inside info, and the atmosphere there is great. He's loving life with his teammates, and that culture, that atmosphere, it really brings something out in you as a player. You want to do things for each other, you want to have that connection, and you want to be selfless because they are that to you. And that's a really, really core principle, what you're working towards in every team project.
So all Madden had to do was get away from this guy.
Yeah.
He's enjoying life. It sounds good for him.
I do want to talk about Outsiders very briefly as well, considering, we just saw them in that game going to 30 rounds, as is kind of typical from their style of play.
Yeah, I guess, paid by the round. Outsiders still, doesn't matter if they change name, doesn't matter if they change play style. It's the same old, same old. It's a team you can never discredit, They'll always be competitive. It doesn't matter who they play against. They will find a way to make the game close, and they will find a way to win the game more often than not. Still a team with a guy like Yakinda, one of the best players in his role. James is also a great AWP player, so it's hard not to talk about him, but it's not a team that gets me excited to watch, to be completely honest.
No, but it's kind of this thing, we see them always get up to those 15, 14 kind of rounds with a big lead. And it feels so disappointing for them not to be able to close it out instantly, and we have to kind of watch that grind where the other team comes back and then they just shut it down the last round. And that's the disappointing part. They're a great team, they play a great, brand of Counter-Strike, and you want them to be able to push that all the way 100% and not get those moments, because it gets scary.
Somebody that hasn't been disappointing is Bad News Eagles. They're going to be taking on fours in their second game here at the Major. The Cinderella story still lives on, Jacob.
Yeah, and what a game they won in that first one on Dust 2. That was such a high-octane Counter-Strike game, back and forth. There were so many clutches, so many moments that in reality it could have gone the way of EF as well. They could have won that game, but for B&E to continue to win out these close games is interesting. You and I, Freya, we saw them at the Blast Showdown as well, where they should have beaten NIP. Yeah. They should have taken that victory. They were leading 12-3 on the third deciding map, and then unfortunately for them, NIP made a fantastic comeback and they ended up losing. So they've shown us that they can beat teams on their own level, which I consider EF to be, and they've shown us they can beat teams who are better than them. So to discredit B&E right now and to say that there's no chance they qualify for the next stage, I'd be lying if I said so.
Yeah, but you know how it is when you play a very intense, high-pressure Counter-Strike. If you don't get your groove going, you could be losing 6, 7, 8 rounds in a row before you get into the headspace to come back. So it's an incredibly hard team to play against if they get the ball rolling early.
It's the upset potential, right? They have this massive upset potential, especially in a best of one, where, as you said, if you get the groove, if you get the ball rolling, they will run over you for 5, 6, 7 rounds. And against a team like Force, they don't have that amount of rounds to give up, right? If Force want to win this game and if they want to beat B&E, they have to play at their best as well. But it is one of those games where, let's be honest, right? Both teams now stand in a position where they can go 2-0, just be one game away from qualifying for the next stage. And I think both of them are super, super happy that they face each other.
I bumped into Rigon in the lunchroom earlier, just after he won that game as well. And he said he has never been so stressed in his life in a game. And it's you could tell, that it was such a stressful situation for them to be in. Do you see them being able to take down Force and potentially go to 2-0?
Yeah, I do. I think, honestly, the way they are playing, it's going to be a crazy chaotic game. First of all, that's going to happen. It's going to be similar game style to what we saw against Eternal Fire. It's going to be very, very fast-paced. It's going to be momentum. They're going to take their knife out instantly after a kill, try to cheat that extra yard or two, and there's going to be a lot of crazy moments. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I can't wait for it. I
Yeah.
think Force is a great team as well. We kind of underestimate them a little bit. They don't really have a big fan sky. It's not a team that you look at and you look at the players and you think, wow, that's an amazing team. But the way they played, the way they qualified for the major, and the way they did in the first game as well, absolutely annihilating their opponents. You cannot discredit Force. I think them coming into this game is filled with confidence as well. So as you said, it's going to be a back and forth game and probably super close.
Yeah, speaking of dominance and confidence, we've really got to be giving it to G2. A really hot start coming into the major. What was it, a 16-6 scoreline to be starting off with? And then we're looking at the 3 players we want to be stepping up: Nico, Hunter, and of course m0NESY. They all did in that first map of Inferno.
What are you going to do to stop those 3, right? If Nico want to play Counter-Strike at a high level, if m0NESY is hitting the majority of his crazy flicks, and Hunter is the one staple player you have within the lineup playing well and always producing 20 kills, what do you do to stop them? I feel that's a tough question. The problem for me is that we don't see that often within G2, and we haven't seen it often. Normally, 1 or 2 of the players will play well, and then one of them will be missing a little bit, and that's the sort of consistency we need to see from G2 for me to be able to say, I think this is a team that can win the major. I still think they're going to qualify for the next stage. I still think we're going to see them in the playoff, but I want to see G2 win the entire thing, and if they were to, we need to see those 3 players play well every single game.
But they also, for G2, they've always had this destructive CT side. They're so good on that. My only question mark with G2 right now is, have they made their T side work? Have they made that connection with each other, because we haven't really seen a lot of it. And I think it is important, if you face a G2, to win T-Pistol.
And that's where you can get a little bit critical towards LXCB as well. He was brought in, and everyone agreed that, okay, now you bring in a more tactical leader. You bring in a guy that is supposed to be better tactically speaking than Nexa, and we haven't really seen that change, I would say, on the T side, right? We haven't really seen that effect that he was supposed to have coming into the lineup. I would even argue that Nexa, individually speaking, is a better player than LXCB as well. So if you don't get the payoff of LXCB, making the T side better, or making the structure within the team better, why did you remove Nexa in the first place? And I think that's the one player you can be a little bit critical of. I'm a big fan of LXCB personally, and I think he is a great guy, but he hasn't really shown us yet that he's molded this G2 lineup into a well-versed, well-rounded lineup. But maybe this will be the tournament where they finally show us it.
Yeah, no, it is a good point. I kind of want to go back to your point about the T side specifically, Devil War, because you made up a good point before we came live. The fact that we didn't actually get to see much of G2 on the T side because their CT side was just so dominant. So if we do potentially get to see them starting on that T side, what are you kind of hoping for? What are you looking for to make it, more cemented, as in your words?
I want them to be more efficient with their utility. I want to see more smokes and molos and flashes to help themselves out. It feels like it's very dry at some points where they're just relying a little bit too much on their aim. I know, obviously, they have, a really, really strong, team individually. But I want to see more tactical awareness, more trickery and treachery to cause those rotations, and yeah. That's what's missing from him.
And that's the thing. How do we find the balance between the two, right? Because, as you said, you have a guy like Nico who you gotta give him the freedom to go for a play that he desires, right? If he feels like he can get an opening somewhere in the map, you gotta allow him to do it. How do you control m0NESY? How do you tell a kid who's 16 years of age, who is one of the greatest talent Counter-Strike has ever seen, that, no, you wait in T-spawn, you're not allowed to do that, you're sitting here with a smoke, and then you're throwing it exactly what I'm telling you to. You can't really do that, right? So it's this, I guess, constant balance of finding the individual speaking talent, showcasing them, and also, having that team play aspect. And I don't admire the coach for that. I think it's a very tough job for him to be coaching this lineup. It must be a big task.
Yeah, and so, speaking of m0NESY, you used the word uncontrollable. He was exactly that in the first game we got to see of their tournament. And it's kind of going back to one of the interviews that we saw with HLTV just prior to the tournament, the fact that he was saying, they're building like a really nice team system around him, and he doesn't feel nerves, which I kind of question when you got younger, newer players coming into the scene. I'm just thinking back to Gambit at the last major, them saying, LAN doesn't scare us at all. But it's nice to see his adaptation, particularly, back at Katowice as well. He was still looking incredibly dominant.
But he is scared, and of course he's affected by the pressure. And yeah, it sounds good to say that I don't care and I don't get affected by it, but everyone does to a certain degree. We even saw it in the We Play Academy League when I first got to see him in Navi Junior. You saw his pulse whenever he was in a clutch, just raced through the roof. Yeah. So of course you feel that excitement, but the more impressive thing and the more important thing to me is that, can you still perform even though you are pressure? Can you still perform even though you are nervous? And I think we've seen m0NESY do that. So credit to m0NESY, don't say you're not affected by it, but just be happy that you're performing despite it.
He might even be affected positively in a way. It doesn't always have to be negative. Some people, they thrive under this pressure. They want to show the world what they're capable of. And m0NESY might be that guy.
Well, speaking of Team Spirit, the team they're going to be coming up against G2 in this next best of one, how are we kind of prefacing them after we saw them taking on Imperial? That was a 16-6 scoreline. How do you feel like they're going to be standing up against G2? Because just looking at some of their previous results, this is the hardest opponent they've faced in quite some time since before the RMR.
It's going to be tough for Force, there's no doubt about it. Sorry for Spirit in this one. They're going up against a team who, as said, they have so much individual power, right? And you look at a team where I feel like there's a long way from the top player to the bottom player, right? It's not as even as it could be. Whereas in G2, I feel all the players have the ability to take over the server on a good day. I look towards a guy like Dexter, you know, and think to myself, that is the star player. That is the guy who can, on a good day, own it on the server. That is a guy who can shut down for Monacy, and that is a guy that on a good day, as said, can be the guy who dictates the game on the server. And if he's good enough to do that against G2, then they stand a chance.
Yes, but it's gonna be a lot about how many T rounds they can collect, and that op duel, it's not gonna be easy to find that impact. So they have a lot of work ahead of them to be able to clinch this. It's a Dust 2 as well.
I do love that, though.
Exactly what you predicted.
Yeah.
You did? Well, there you go. You're a smart man. I love that, because that gives a lot of freedom to a guy like Dexter, right? If as said, you're right, the op duel one-on-one against Monacy, that's probably going to be pretty 50-50. Maybe Monacy is going to win the majority of those because he's faster, but people seem to forget. I see it in the Twitch chat all the time when people ask, you know, most of the duels an AWP player have is not against another AWP player. He's supposed to shoot all the rifles. There's 4 of them, so just pick one and kill him, right? So for Dexter to dictate the game, he doesn't necessarily have to kill Monacy every round. He just has to make sure that he's, I guess, shutting down the riflers and shutting down the Nico, shutting down the Hunter coming forward.
And we did see, actually, Spirit play the Dust 2 last game. And what's interesting, they do keep the same kind of CT style that they've always had, which is very aggressive rifles, short and mid, constantly putting pressure. They get that duel, they fall back, the short guy goes next, and the mid guy, and they just constantly do this back and forth dance. And it's extremely annoying to play against.
Well, it's time to get into G2 versus Spirit. And to do that, we've got to have Chad and Alex on the mic. Question is, gentlemen, how are your pick'ems faring after round 1?
Ooh,
I'm
so
trending
far
all right.
so good. So far so good.
I'm looking okay. I can still get the 3-0 and the 0-3.
Same, my 3-0 outsiders.
So we're alive. We're alive to see another day at least.
Just about, and we're here for the first day of the major. It's good to be back, and good to be back next to you.
Yeah, we get to do some casting. It's been a couple of weeks
yeah.
here, but look, we have a matchup right now that has a heavy favourite. The desk have just covered it off. They're talking about the matchup we have of Dust 2 here, and I think what Devilwalk's prefacing with some of this aggression around middle, there might be a chance for Spirit to make a game of things on a map like Dust 2.
Yeah, I mean, usually we describe it as the kind of the great equalizer. There is always an opportunity for an upset. The momentum of Counter-Strike is especially present in a best of one.
Yeah, it seemed today that we've had some one-sided affairs, to say the very least here. And the CT sides have continued to put on most of that hammering. There's been some closer matchups thanks to outsiders here, but the fist bumps are coming in. I think this one is getting underway momentarily here.
And you saw G2 over at the RMR, you know, they've been kind of rising in their power level towards this major.
Yeah, I don't think the RMR was hugely impressive for G2. They just got the job done, right? The opening matchup was an upset loss to Anonymo, the Poles, right? It was a 19-16 overtime affair on Mirage that me and Dinko got to cover, and it's not the way we thought that game was going to be going whatsoever. So we started off that Group B in quite an interesting fashion, but they're able to taper on in and then pick up a win against Sungal, beat the Bad News Eagles, and then take down Astralis, and that was quite an exciting best-of-3 series. But here we go.
Yes, indeed. Okay. G2 up against Team Spirit. Dust 2 is where this battle will transpire, and those good old-fashioned dual Berettas will once again be showing on up. Let's see, Spirit second, Dust 2 from them. Taking down Imperial initially. Ooh, hello, you wanted aggression. You've got it both facets, up long, up mid, 2 bodies down. Siren and Dexter get to play about 10 seconds of the first round in this game.
And now the entire map is lost for Spirit. This mid push comes on in, they lose 2 bodies, they have to go back and try and take some territory.
How gross.
And G2 have gone, yeah, you can have it. We have a 2-man advantage. We don't have to play aggressive at this point in the round. They've still got Jax over towards B with those dual Berettas in hand. A little bit of aggression coming out from short from Nico still just to oversee business. But as they rotate around the world tier, G2 are grabbing even more information. Long call clear. And now they can start hedging their bets back over towards the other bomb site.
Oh yeah, and this is actually shaping up for a potential full lockout to find and to shift the odds. It's all on Chopper's utility.
Yeah, can smoke the doors and set up a flash, but oh, is he lining that up now? He is. Sound cue made. They have to go.
Yeah, Jax is the one to do the clicking. Oh, and already he does hit one into Patsy low. And even lower by Lexi B. Body shots convert. It's only 1 back in the feed from Spirit, closing the gap through Tons. 2 charging and trundling. Good shots out of Chopper. If he takes down Hunter, we've got a round here already. He's given them enough leeway to get that bomb down. m0NESY from window. Alexi throws his smoke to isolate the duel. Chopper will have to relocate over the edge of it. Never mind. Chopper takes this round into his own. 3 from him, bomb ticking. This is turned completely 180. Hunter, however, makes it interesting. 3 HP. It should be the end of him. He's just dancing around the smoke. There's so much time, and the kit will enable a speedy defuse.
Okay, it almost got a little bit out of control there. The fact that they got a couple of extra kills, they get that bomb down. That's a win for Spirit with how that round kicked off. First 10 seconds, the aggression up mid. The Cousins lopping off a couple of heads here. Some tidy taps. And yeah, it did get messy. Chopper had a lot of impact as well against Imperial on the same T-sided pistol. Now, they did something a little bit different, but he got 3 huge kills as he rotated back in on a flank play. And that's facilitated right now a tidy-looking buy. The Galil's come out. There's a scout in play. A little bit of utility to work with here as well. There's more rifles right now on Team Spirit than there is on G2.
Oh! See you later, Jax. On the cross, Dexter reminds them that he is watching that double door cross and will be a problem. m0NESY's there too, and strings together 2 consecutive shots. This is going to be all determined by scouts, it seems. Neither shying away from the duel. Hunter in support of m0NESY, and you can see that Hunter wants to take a little bit of info.
Yeah, that might have been heard there.
By the scout.
They're definitely aware that this aggression could be around middle, and now it's Nico's turn. I don't think he saw anything on the jump just there, so they can slink their way out the mid doors here.
Good space for Patsy, supported by Magix, and it will be a cursory glance from one of these two.
They're going to get caught off guard here. Hunter's not ready for this.
Hunter's going to have his knife out. Oh, okay, that's a big opening. And just like that, Siren has cleared the site. m0NESY down and bomb to follow. Nothing for Nico to do in this one. Him and Alexi scratching their heads. Maybe a little info onto Dexter's barrel. The scout may enable the frag. Stabilize, and to finish with the flourish. But it is just a question of saving now.
Yeah, that's rough. Maybe if that kill comes on through, there could have been a conversation to have a look in for a round like this. But that force buy, and remember, that's off the back of the plant. A 3-on-5 situation from the pistol. They enable their way into that site through the utility. And great work to now bounce back immediately into round number 2. So this is a great start from Spirit.
I mean, yeah, it was a 3v5 early, complete map control taken by the CTs. And because of Chopper's unwillingness to give up, we did get that bomb plant, and now translates immediately to an even keel, 1-1.
And they even get to keep these 4 Galils, right? I don't think they're going to go up any of these right here. They're far enough away from the bomb. It's going to go off. No dramas whatsoever. Oh, Dexter was not far enough away from the bomb. Maybe some slight dramas, but very slight. So that's just going to be 1 scout and 1 M4 retained here. And the question is, did G2 want to take part in these force by wars? You would say yes. Right, you've got a little bit left on over here.
Yeah, and I've seen their deagles before, Chad.
It can be very, very scary indeed. So m0NESY's going to get that scout dropped over thanks to Alexi. He's going to get an MP9 in his hand. Some pistol upgrades for Hunter and Jackson. They're going to give this one a go at extending the force by wars. Let's see, can Dexter do it again? This time shooting preemptively on the cross. Siren flashed on out long. He's going to look for some blue bin control.
And Nico has incendiary quick response of extinguish. No one supporting Siren right now. Nico has got support 2 committed to this long fight. Siren's legs exposed, and 2 from Nico to neutralize that long test. Spirit will have to readdress.
The rifle's in the perfect place right there. They wanted to try and get Siren out of the blue bin.
Quick from Chopper. Where's he off to?
Yeah, he's loving to take some space right now. He's going to be denied. His mid to B smoke, if he throws it, is going to be burned. So you can see they're reconsidering wasting that early here. And if Patsy wants to have a little bit of a look in towards B, he's got to get past the scout. And the CZ combo as a shot whistles past. Some information gathered. Still over a minute left on the clock right now for Spirit to work with here.
I think they'd be remiss to G2 if they do let slip in these opening 3 another man advantage.
Oh, they're going to be going straight in towards Nico here. They're going to have a rough go of this. Nico might just mow them all down. Already has 2 within the round. Could get the full set. A little bit of utility right now to delay. We've got 3 smokes, so the set APs from Spirit is possible. The avant-garde smokes give themselves the one way to work with trying to enable a fight, but Nico doesn't need to take the fight, and as the clock burns on down, this could be picture perfect.
Yeah, if they molly him out, 1 already expended, the second heading destined for Nico. Force forward, sound cue. No, Patsy does not check it. Quick trade, Chopper and Dexter trying to open up the site, and they have. Chopper actually strings together 2. Hunter's his next victim. It's Dexter with the rifle. And G2 have let it fall.
Yeah, very active bodyguarding right there from Dexter, not allowing them to get close, taking the fight, denying the sight, and honestly, he's now got one more to find. Chopper, one-on-one.
Doable, predictable as well on that ramp. Eye on the scope, crawling in. No kit and the missed shot. That should be the end of it. How is he still going? Chopper fumbles. m0NESY hunting. Oh, and an opportunity. Nearly knocked the aviators off his face.
Whistling past the side of the head right there. m0NESY almost with a quick one, but that's going to be the Force by Wars one out. They've established themselves early here. Great work from Spirit. 2 consecutive rounds, that's all they needed, and Chopper hitting a couple of tidy ones here. That second onto Alexi is beautiful. And then just having to buy his time. Great stuff there from Chopper. Up to 6 kills now. Leading the charge in the server here. Nico couldn't get it done.
Okay, well, they are just going to have to swallow their pride for this one. A classic maneuver.
The right side.
Yeah. It's very unlikely that we're going to see pace behind this from Spirit, though, even though they are...
Oh, they're going in.
They are. They are just going all in. Some USPs, a couple of dinks could make things interesting. Alexi cleared. Perhaps not going to expect another. Back to turns and taps are hitting. Nico, Hunter combined. Jax is there with a double. And so, well, Mr. Nico, he's got a 1v2 and a Desert Eagle. Entirely manageable.
Yeah, and they have no idea where he is because this was a stack. They're not certain. Where was Nico? Where did he start the round? And as he comes out mid to B, does get a fight. The first Eagle shot confirms his position, and now Spirit can get that bomb down.
Patsy gets the confirmation that he has stuck around and knocks his head off. Dexter. He's got so much util, but Nico, the ever-present threat, holds his nerve and holds the line. Neutralized by the Nico Deeg.
Look at the grin on the face right there. Oof. What's Patsy doing? Giving him that fight. You're going to take the swing on window.
That's some spicy Deagle action there.
Knew exactly where he was, right? They knew exactly where he was. Giving Nico a second chance there with the Deagle. That's going to come back to bite you in the ass immediately. Orb scooped up. That was an eco round. A B stack with USPs.
Dude, that re-peek from Patsy. Do you know who you're trifling with?
He does now.
Read them like a book as well. Dexter just puts his head in the vice.
Yeah, that's a rough one to swallow. Spirit did so much hard work. They won out the Force by Wars. They were setting themselves up on a perfect mantle now to convert further and further. Devil Walk on the Desert is going to be about how many T-sided rounds they can pick up here. That should have been a third confirmed. And as those go missing, it's going to be really problematic because they didn't have too much cash established right now to get into a full buy. I think they're going to be lacking this T-sided AWP. And on the other side of things, look at the buy coming out. The AWP saved. m0NESY gets that one for free. Christmas came early. The AUG for Jax. They're into a full buy right now. And the whole tone of this early game can shift.
Yeah, courtesy of that stack. I mean, the double bait on bricks as well. They really fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker.
You just saw Chopper just immediately swiping his mouse off the mouse pad in panic. Alexi baits them in. Jax finishes.
This aggression.
m0NESY supporting that early mid-aggression. It worked on the pistol.
Yeah, why not again?
Yeah,
and then AK in play. Perfect timing here on the cut.
Should be the end of Magic. He actually gets the info and away. So a gift in some strange facet.
Well, they know he's jammed in, so I think they might just want to keep these positions up. Alexi takes down Magic's. Nico now to do some more punishment from short. 2 taken. The third a little bit shy there on the nade, but this round's been handled.
Yeah, no question. And you couldn't ask for a better weapon for the job on Jax. That will stick around, so that's going to be a prominent threat now on B.
I'm sure Jax just wants to get involved in some rounds. You take a look at that Liquid game that they played earlier in the day. Like, he's just chilling on like 3 kills while m0NESY has like 17, 18. Like, Nico and Hunter are contributing as well. It's like, guys, can I see someone?
But what more could you ask for? You know, get him into the major, his first major, and not only come in hot, win your game, and a team that you shouldn't be underestimating in Liquid, who are kind of rising over the course of the coming weeks. So with that big win and doing so with a convincing scoreline and your new superstar at the top of the table, it's very good signs for the G2 fans around the world.
Yeah, I think that this team right here is one, if they can hit their stride and show their absolute best Counter-Strike, they can be an absolute force to be reckoned with. Alexi will mow down the final 2, securing the 3rd round for G2 here. But that's the if, right? And we obviously have seen some ups and downs, and it was the honeymoon when they got together earlier within the year. Now can we see that coming on through? Because there's so many names who fall into that similar bucket, right? I think we have our championship caliber squads. We've got our FaZe and we've got our Na'Vi. But then after that, there's a lot of names that fall on in as teams who can go deep in the playoffs or maybe even go the whole way. So this major seems wide on open right now. But moving into the next round, Spirit do have the buy back. Dexter's AWP and takes the shot. No connection there.
Yeah, not been able to replicate his early successes on that door cross. Hunter backs up.
I like that. He runs in, throws the nade, and gets out. It's going to stall out these two upper dark players because you're going to worry about short aggression. You're going to worry if someone's still in towards lower. So as you clear this, it's going to melt even more time off the clock. And when you want to fake a mid to B or you want to work for these short plays, right, you need a bit more time on your side.
Here's the prime example. This is exactly what we're pre-firing. Absolutely nothing. Hunter, just by showing presence, they're actually peeking each other. Okay.
Sector clear. But look at the time. We're at a minute 10 on the clock right now, and they haven't established any map control whatsoever. Upper dark short. Now they're feigning out mid to B here. You can see getting part of the crisscross out. Short
Smoke
denied.
short in response. That will slow Spirit's crawl again. So about 30 seconds before they can make their commitment. Back to long, potentially. Nice nade on the nose. Patsy down to 66.
Even if Alexi goes down here, Monacy's still top of sight.
Oh, Alexi. Oh, it looks perfect. Right between them all. Ouch. And it's going to get worse from there. Never mind. Magic spins on a dime. Has given him a way in, but 30 seconds. Time-sensitive mission now for this Team Spirit squad. Oh, baits him successfully. Anticipation and extinguish. Trying to delay as best he can. The chaos now caused by Spirit on the cross. m0NESY desperate to contribute. Nico's gone. He's got nothing. He's got smoke, flame, bullets. And a player walks on in. They've lost it all. And an A site just need that bomb plant to confirm it. Team Spirit successfully wrangle for a third.
Yeah, well handled. I thought that m0NESY could have found a little bit more impact from that position, but worried about that short play at the same time as that long crunch. So well timed from Spirit. Patsy and Dexter low. Magic's below half HP as well here, but it is going to be 3-3 now on the scoreboard as Jack just wants to try and do some damage on the way out the door. Has been noted now. We'll be tucking tail, and they don't need to hunt him. Right? It's not really going to give them a whole lot here. There's enough money for G2 to go for a buy into the next. But it didn't start great, right? Obviously, with the way that Hunter had feigned that lower dark control, burns a bit of time off the clock. The perfectly placed nade from Alexi there, just not enough to actually get anything lethal going on here. So good response again from Team Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, shutting down Nico, no easy feat, so credit to Patsy. m0NESY was so busy with everything else. The A defense did come tumbling down with a solid Kalashnikov to the head. 3-3. All even, all square. Finances are available. G2 will be reinvesting. We can see just how some of these last stage frags come through. Yeah, just on the grey screen. Knocks that AWP out of his hands. Do see a fresh one invested. Get to see m0NESY back on his signature weapon. Round 7 commences.
Yeah, let's see if they continue to try and flirt with these lower dark plays or not, because if Dexter keeps getting boosted up like this, the cross is just scary. You can see that smoke there to deny. They are playing 4 over towards A at the start of this round here, and m0NESY very aggressive. Can use this Xbox smoke to his advantage.
Well, there is a lot of B util, response and exchange of smokes.
And they've been able to rotate Hunter back over, right? So aggressive short. This time they're still keeping mid pressure, right? But this time it was through short. So it seems like a common theme right now for G2 to continue to be a bit prickly around mid. We saw it on the pistol round. We've seen it on several rounds forward of that now. Patsy's going to get flashed through here. Ooh, honestly, completely blind, but Nico's not.
Stunning. Spirit, no strangers to recovering, though.
Gets hard now, doesn't it? Because you know that the AWP and the rifle were so close towards short. If you want to pivot for a mid to B, it's really easy for Nico to do exactly this. Help babysit the mid to B play. So he's drawn across, and still Hunter and Jax reside in that B bomb site to try and lock this one down.
A tough nut to crack. And Jax has got another smoke. He'll be able to drop that on the next information from this jiggle.
Hunter's even got an incendiary.
Yep, smoked out. They're going to surely have to wait that one
Save,
out.
maybe?
25,
It has
lads.
to be a save. Oh, look at Alexi pushing along right now. He could try and deny a couple of guns here.
He's actually going to sweep mid. Maybe he will pivot suicide, and still not certain after the mid to B action. They haven't had confirmation, and so, yeah, we are just going to be seeing quite a low frag round of Counter-Strike here.
Yeah, not a lot happened.
No.
Just really just warded off by a bit of utility there.
Yeah.
So 1 kill, couple of well-placed smoke grenades, and that'll be the round right there. So continuing the back and forth nature of this, I think the most anybody's been able to string together so far is 2. So we haven't really seen any huge streaks of rounds coming on through just yet.
Is it still safe to expect the CT side to be leaving with the majority?
Yeah, I would think so. We're in a bit of a CT-sided meta right now. I think most of the maps are CT-sided. So I think that G2 would probably be setting their sights on 9. You know, 9 would be pretty comfy.
He's going to set up once again for the rumble in mid. And so far, G2, other than the initial scout connection, have been able to get across safely without too much of a problem. Magic showing off with his self-boost.
They've actually played Nico towards long with Alexi this time, right? They haven't just left him on his lonesome, which they did in a couple of rounds. So expecting a change-up right here out of Spirit. Honestly, saw the head, didn't he?
We all did. That's what he's waiting for. Okay. Patsy gone, and already Spirit operating down 2.
He didn't even blink, though, when the head came across the screen, so... Poof.
I guess he's seen it so often.
Hello.
That's a big catch over the smoke. Alexi through, convinced he was safe and sound, but not anticipating a very patient Magic's. Bit of parkour to see over that smoke. Jax does activate. Information flowing now for G2 as the 3 remaining. Nico turns his back. Lackadaisical on the clear. Bomb scooped up. Magic supporting for the mid-cross. Jax is in T-spawn.
He'll be quick on this, though.
He does have to be quick, otherwise it's just 2. Monacy's got a lot on his plate. Worried about everything. Traces through, a missed shot. Chopper advancing. Nice connection. Siren down. They are closing this gap. Monacy is going to fall out. And now Hunter and Jax. Jax has managed to get down to long. And this is the perfect weapon for the job. Bomb to be planted. Hunter's got the gap closed. And so is the round 5 for the G2 boys.
You could see there, Monacy was extremely worried about long. But as soon as Magix gets a kill in the feed, they know that the long presence is now joined short. That allowed Jax to accelerate the flank coming on through and just set themselves up for that. A little bit unfortunate on the timing right there for Nico when he pushed out short because he had a team flash coming on through. There was just nobody on the other side of things. But well handled. And G2 will post another right now. This is going to put Spirit in a bit of an odd spot. They're taking a tactical timeout to have a bit of a conversation here. The high end of the finances is Chopper at 4.5. They got 3 players who could grab out some AKs, and Dexter and Patsy could operate with something a little bit lower. Dexter could even operate with a scout here, right? So if they wanted to buy on into this, they could, but it looks like it's going to be light. See the utility being invested, some Tech 9s being scooped on up. Loss bonus obviously starting to build right there. Will be 2,400 into the next.
Completely undaunted and unfazed by that flash of Patsy prior to the engagement. Nice play from him, puts him up to 4. That's Monacy just evening out the kill spread.
I'm going to be curious where they want to finish with this here because they aren't taking the long spawns that they had. They have enough utility to do a mid to B or to do a B explode. And right now we've got 3 players with the bomb in upper dark.
Okay, clear intentions. It worked. In their 2-man disadvantage. That was pistols though. Very different lay of the land again. Deep CT smoke will scramble.
And maybe it worked a little bit too well. There's a 3-man rifle stack right now on the B side. Nico just gets to go wherever he wants or wherever Alexi feels. And right now, putting the sharpest tool in the shed right now to defend the B bomb site, which is seeming to be the target of Spirit's affections. Now, do you want to keep smoking and mollying off tunnels, or do you want them to come, right? How much utility do you really want to put into this position? I have a couple of incendiaries left over. The mid to B util is being lined on up, setting up the crisscross variation. And yeah, well, this B bomb site should be locked on down.
Charging in, yeah, it should, being the operative word. We do have 5 converging. Nico going to be looking to close, Hunter to take initial engagements. Jax the same, posted up tons. Here they come. Ooh. Wow, nice exchange on that P250. Hunter, good for it. Deals with the threat, only Siren, and he runs on into that AUG scope. Feeling good about that one. Not too many losses. The finances will continue to swell. Spirit, they called the timeout. They thought it through, just not as much impact as they would have hoped.
Yeah, and the fact that they take Nico down first, the sleeper cell got removed, and the other 2 pillars were just able to combine right there. Hunter, one more off of the ace. I don't know if we've had an ace yet today. Haven't been keeping track. Maybe we'll have to check out that ace counter at some point, but he didn't get across the line. Dex's AWP's back out here. This time not going to get boosted up and over, and they want to scale down quickly through mid with this suicide play.
A lot of responsibility on the shoulders of Siren now.
They're scaling fast down mid here, Alex, and there's 2 in lower dark. This is about to get real spicy.
Yeah, loud steps, very loud steps. Monacy's quick and immediately demonstrates that speed. Hunter provides the double and bye-bye Spirit. The round should be over. Jax confirms our suspicions, only 1. Up and over. Monacy Not going to be anticipating this angle. A flash of him, but not much more. 7 for G2. Happy with that one.
Yeah, playing silly games around the smoke there, Modesty, wasn't he? Beautiful stuff from him. And you can see, as soon as they drop 2 into Suicide and they park themselves behind that box, they want to scale quickly on mid. But if Dexter's not getting boosted up, he can't have full vision of lower dark, especially with how often they've been playing that aggressive maneuver. Maybe they were expecting the same smoke that they were going to be playing around, but this time it was a little bit of a different look. Modesty able to punish right there, and just clamping down on upper dark has forced out the second tactical timeout right here from Spirit, as the score now reads 7-3. So starting to run away with things here, G2. This is good. This is very solid.
Yeah, good signs of life out of G2. Opening game, very convincing.
I'm liking how flexible they're looking. We've seen a bunch of different setups. They've shown willingness to go aggressive. They're not sitting on their haunches, right? They're not going, let's just play default. We know that we're better than these guys. They're actually keeping it active, making it jarring for Team Spirit, not allowing them to have all this space on their defaults. If you can't establish a default on Dust 2, you're in a world of hurt. And we haven't even seen them go all in long yet. Where have been in the all in long plays?
True. Probably because when they did show up, Nico killed 2 people and you were decided it was
Precisely.
already not worth it. Oh, lots of space. Look at this. Siren already stretching his legs, doing a little yoga up mid. And, oh, just unlucky on the timing. Nico should have been caught out, unable to find the Deagle headshot. Patsy makes good on his teammate's shortcomings. 2 here. Alexi a little overzealous now, and Modesty's got a lot to do. The cavalry's on its way. Quick cantering from Hunter back through mid. You got Jax locking the door behind him. This should be the end of them. Nice nade. Hunter eliminates one of the 3. And off angle, Magic's eliminated, and that will do nicely. They are ignited 8 for G2. They'll win out the CT half, and now everything else is just whipped cream.
Yeah, that's beautiful stuff right there. And Nico even recovered, right? He got caught out of position, able to recover, still get 1 kill. Is that a PP in my zone?
Yeah, I furrowed my brow as well.
A little bit of a miss-spy there, but look, their cash is looking very tidy, so not too many dramas. And, you know, the 64 bullets